Let's talk herd. But yeah, that was the story of that, and it was so powerful. Yeah, and I don't really know how I did it.
You don't know how you did what?
Well, let go. I think I just said, okay, now you, yeah, because when I'm thinking about it, like, you can say that, but how do you actually do it? And I think it was, the words, it was a shift in my heart came, and it was just that. It was.
Well, I think sometimes it takes someone else, someone being a horse or a dog or a human, to help us switch our head, our brain. And it, luckily for you, it didn't take much, right? It just was, no, that's not helping me. And you so much wanted to help her. So it might have been a relief for you. And, pity and worry is an energetic depletion from us, right? So we're being depleted when we worry. We're being depleted, when we pity somebody. Pity's a little different, I think, because it sets people up for, one person is better than the other or being. But it's still not healthy. And so by her sharing that with you, and you being so open to her, being able to just cleave that, just let it go, is beautiful. That's wonderful. I love that story.
Yeah. And I think part of it was that she really was dying. Like, I knew that in some part of myself. So it was just that. It's like it's now or never. This is you just have to come up to that standard and just stop, And it's true what you say about the worry, because that worry is so corrosive.
Yeah.
And I think it was always in the back of my mind with her, that she needed that.
And I think, like humans, I believe they come into this world with lessons. And so if I believe truly that they are these sentient beings with sovereignty, then they too get to decide what their life is going to be like. I would like that to happen. As a guardian, I try to do as much as possible without assuming I know what their life should be like.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Yeah, that reminds me of an Abraham. Have you heard of Esther Hicks and Abraham?
Oh, yeah.
She channels. Yeah. And it was just talking about animals, and that often they're here. They're much more in this, what they call the receptive mode than we are. They're much more able to be in that. And often they are here to receive. And, they might be here to receive things that we would call suffering and what we would think of as negative experiences. But that's their choice. And it's part of the awakening and the contrast. And so, I really agree with what you say, that it's kind of an arrogance on our part to feel that we know what's best, always. And I always remind myself, when I think, we've got to change the whole world and we've got to, get all these horses out of the stables. And I do remind myself that it's not really about those actions. It's about experiencing life and and making the choice, each one of us, what feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't do that for someone else, really. You can just live your own truth, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you're fully expressing who you are, this great bright light of your own being, right? And you're fulfilling that and you're expressing that and shining your light, then you will be a magnet for other people and other beings. And so,
Yeah.
yes, we can't change the world. The only thing we can do is truly focus on ourselves. But by focusing on ourselves, if we all did that, then we would change the world.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, it's such a beautiful way to, because it feels like a relief when you just realize that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, you do have to commit to yourself as well, and that's not easy.
Yeah.
But it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I listened to a podcast the other day, and it was a really fascinating, a lovely man. Will Harris, he was called, and he has is it White Oak Pastures, or it's like a farm and it's totally regenerative. He practices regenerative farming.
Oh, wow.
And he's got a negative carbon footprint on his land. It actually uses carbon rather than, creates
awesome.
it. And now I've forgotten what I was going to say. What were we talking about? Why did I bring him up?
We were talking about...
Oh, yeah, because he said that... Yeah, he said that he has a lot of people who work for him who are very sort of stressed out. And I don't know, this is like paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said they worry about changing the world. And he says, I don't worry about changing the world. I just worry about my farm and, what I can do on my farm to make it the best farm it can be. And the thing is that in doing that, he's creating this, like exactly like you say, this wonderful example of what's possible. Mm-hmm. And he said they have a lot of stress because they worry about the world, and they get, then you start to become negative because you feel frustrated, and and it's just like you say, we have to just focus on what it is for us to change what we're here for, our purpose, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's in the States, there's a movie about, oh gosh, I can't think of the name of it now, but it's a baseball movie, and this guy in Iowa, is told to make this baseball field. So he has to plow his whole entire cornfield and make a baseball field. And the phrase that they say often is, make it and they will come.
Yes.
And so it's the same way as that gentleman, right? He just dedicated himself.
Exactly.
And he's now a magnet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which is very cool.
And he said that his whole town, like their town used to be just a really boring little place that was out in the middle of nowhere. And now it's like this thriving community, and anybody would want to come and spend some days there. And he's just
that's awesome.
Boosted the economy and yeah, just fantastic. So, yeah. It's really inspiring when you see people like that.
Well, there you go. There's some inspiration for you.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you have any plans for the future now?
I'm not,
like, what's your vision?
My vision. I ask that the universe show me my next step. That's all I ever do. I wake up in the morning and I just say, if you being universe, God, whoever, source, want me to have an impact, then send people my way.
Yeah, love that.
And I just kind of go based on feeling. I mean, I have little glimmers this year of things that I'm curious about. So I usually start by following my curiosity, and then just see where that takes me. The problem I have is that if I go with my vision, my vision is never big enough. I will always have a tiny, tiny little vision. I never, ever thought I would ever be doing this, ever, in a bajillion years. So if I put out my vision, it's not going to be nearly as fun. So
why do you think that is?
I think it's just my lesson to be able to surrender, and this is totally how I got here. I mean, I was in a really bad place in life, and I just started following little breadcrumbs and ended up doing this. And I just think it's a lesson that I am learning this life, to trust that I don't have to be in control at all times.
Wow. Yeah, it's like your vision is potential itself. That kind of gray space, that's really interesting, because often people have quite a big thing, don't they? Like a big dream.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, I have a lot of admiration for people, and it's just not how my life has worked.
No, but I think it's really cool. It's like really, it's almost like being able to be completely open to the possibility. You're not creating any kind of agenda or expectations or any limitations to anything. So it's really inspiring in a way.
I have bad days where I think, oh gosh.
It's like it feels like it would be very freeing. Yeah.
No, it totally can be.
Yeah.
Can be very freeing.
Because you can't lose, really. Like, you can't fail, because everything is a blessing, like looking at it in that way, because you're not fixing yourself to sort of,
Totally.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah.
No, and if I get into my ego and my human concerns of definition of success or whatever, I can go there. There are times where I have to kind of walk myself back.
Yeah.
But every time I do this, it just ends up showing me it's the right thing to do. over and over and over.
That's, yeah, yeah. That's your inner guidance. That's your, yeah, I always think that's what it comes down to, just what feels good to you. Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, because I can get, yeah, into that place where I feel like, you're not doing anything. Maybe you should do this, or, push, because I feel like maybe that I'm just not, when I judge myself, I think, well, maybe you just don't want to push through with things. And, this thing about the horse is not wanting equipment, maybe that's just your, maybe you're being a perfectionist, maybe you're not being flexible, all the rest of it. But then what it comes down to is those things just don't feel good. It just doesn't feel good. And I feel like what feels good is that I know that it's forming and it's happening and it's building, and that's enough, and that just feels good. So yeah, it doesn't have a timeline. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. And that's the hard part, right? Because we have these societal rules of, it needs to happen quickly. It needs to be able to make so much money. It needs to be able to blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it needs to be a business. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think often that we do believe that we can't be successful financially if we're doing what our heart tells us. And I think that's a false, that's something that, we've kind of, it's just because we're not really willing to allow that we can be successful in all ways, and that we need to change that, I think, in society, and honor people, and what's the word? Almost encourage people to do to follow what feels good for them, and to show that that's possible, and that they can make a living out of that, and that it's right. That's something I needed to kind of get away from, that I had to sacrifice, either, doing something that was going to pay well, or doing what I love. And I think that you can have both.
Yeah. It depends on how you define success. And I think everybody has to figure out what that means for them. Like, I don't need to drive a fancy car, right? That doesn't mean anything to me. Whereas somebody else might need to drive a fancy car, so their definition of success is going to look different.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? That we're all different, and we all have different dreams, I suppose.
And that's where you need to be honest with yourself, right? And circling back to what you said in the very beginning, is to really fulfill that sovereignty yourself. So knowing yourself is so important.
Yeah. Absolutely. And allowing that you can have such an animal in your life as a horse, and that you can still follow that, that you don't have to go against your own intuition, to follow traditions that don't feel good. I think it's having that confidence, because I think people feel like, they need to listen to trainers and people who they don't feel good about, just because a horse is such a responsibility. So, I think it is really important to reassure people that that they can do it, that that listening, and you're not gonna cause all these terrible problems that horses are so aware of us, and they're so conscientious, and they're, you know, it's actually, in my mind, it's a lot more dangerous and reckless to force them and to not listen to them and to put them in a box. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You just mentioned confidence, and I think confidence is overrated. I think I think doing it in spite of lack of confidence is maybe how you get confidence.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Because I definitely was not confident.
Yeah.
But just doing it, just try it.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah, it is just experience, isn't it? And I think it's very easy to be intimidated, isn't it? I think there are a lot of intimidation tactics used in the horse world to control people because, um,
Yes.
just because they are big animals, and people have a bit of knowledge, and they know how to, make people feel small. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's true. But it really, at the end, like you say, it's a journey you have to take on your own in the end.
And I'm so grateful to you for your little community and your growing community, and just doing your good work, getting this information out to the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. It's wonderful because just meeting people, I mean, I had no idea that,
Yeah.
yeah, the depth of like just the kindred spirits that I've met so far and that are joining. And it just feels amazing because, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I missed it, but when I was searching for a similar kind of community, I couldn't really find
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't really find a hub, like of this kind of just approach, like just this more. I mean, there's thousands of people,
Mm-hmm.
individuals who are,
Mm-hmm.
are doing amazing work, and they've got all of their ways of offering to people, but a community where somebody could, where someone can find what they're looking for exactly. I couldn't find that. So yeah, it's exciting to be on this
Mm-hmm.
path and to be growing and to be meeting people like you. And yeah, so thank you very much for being part of it. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.